Greetings, folks. This is David Cunningham from CounterOps. This is going to be a CounterOps quick report. I'm going to try to go fast, but simple enough that it'll be easy to keep up. It's Tuesday evening, just making this quick report, and I've got documents here to kind of illustrate my points and go over some information. So real quick. Wuhan Institute of Virology. This is a BSL 4 lab that's in Wuhan, China. And this lab has been open since 2015. Some of this will show up better here than on the computer, but I'll do a screenshot there too. 2015, the National Biosafety Laboratory completed a $44 million BSL-4 laboratory built in mainland China. So, here's the key point about this BSL-4 lab in China. Coronavirus research. You see 2005, 2015, 2017. 2015 is the one I want you to look at. A team including scientists from the Institute published successful research on whether a coronavirus could be made to infect HeLa. HeLa is a link on the site. You click that, it gives the definition that means to infect human cells. The team engineered a hybrid virus combining a bat coronavirus with SARS, and it's been adopted to grow in mice and mimic human disease and infect human cells. They have a little disclaimer in here. This is all from Wikipedia. You can take Wikipedia with a grain of salt. But this is just the pretty much this disclaimer in here that they don't believe that this coronavirus that's part of the COVID-19 outbreak really came from this lab. But if you look at the research paper, it's got all these references and links, and that's what I'll go to on the computer. Look at all these links, other sources and information about the research and about this BSL-4 lab. This is the one we're going to take a look at. Number 11. So, if we go over here to the computer, let's show you this. All right, first of all, what is a BSL-4 lab? It's the highest level of biological safety. A BSL lab consists of work with highly dangerous and exotic microbes. Infections caused by these types of microbes can be fatal, and sometimes there are no vaccines. You know, viruses like Ebola and Marburg. All right, so that's what a BSL-4 lab is. That's the type of lab that was in China. China hasn't always got the best type of safety. But anyway, that reference from what I was pulling up before, just to save time, I'm not even on the page from Wikipedia, but just to save time, link number 11. You can go to this yourself and look at it. I encourage you to look at it. This was an article that was published in Nature magazine in November of 2015. So I'll just zoom in a little bit so you can see this better. But this has also got an editor's note in it from March of 2020. And this is their disclaimer. They're trying to say that this article is being used as the basis of unverified theories that the novel coronavirus was engineered. But when you look at this article and you read the scientific article, it talks about an experiment that created a hybrid version of a bat coronavirus, the virus related to SARS, and it was engineered in a lab, and it says it could have possible pandemic risks. If you read this down here, the SO backbone of the SARS virus has been adapted to grow in mice and mimic human disease. This chimera, which is a hybrid virus composed of two different organisms or two different types of viruses. This chimera infected human airways, proving that the surface protein of what's called the SCH014 has the necessary structure to bind to a key receptor on the cells, human cells, and to infect them. Okay? So, researchers wanted to know if this research had any validity, or if it has any merit. And I'm getting a little long, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. But the U.S. government imposed a moratorium on funding this type of research in October 2014. That was called the research pause on what's referred to as gain of function. Gain of function has to do with making viruses more deadly or increasing the probability that they will spread. But look at this. The latest study underway for the U.S. moratorium began. The U.S. National Institutes of Health allowed it to proceed while it was under review by the agency. An infectious disease researcher at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And then the NIH eventually concluded that the work was not so risky as to fall under the moratorium, meaning that this freeze on any type of research with these types of viruses at these types of level labs was allowed to continue even though there was already a government pause on that type of research. So let's flip over here. National Institutes of Health. The National Institutes of Health gave them permission to continue this research, and the National Institute of Health, according to this, that doesn't say it in this article. But the National Institute of Health also provides funding for some of this research. So if we look under the National Institute of Health's website, and you look under the org chart, these are all the departments within the National Institute of Health. What is that one? The National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Any type of infectious disease, like this type of virus, should also fall under the jurisdiction, or at least under the knowledge, of the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Disease, which is a subgroup under the National Institute of Health. And guess who the director is? Anthony Fauci. So, does that implicate Fauci as knowing about this virus before it came out, or even knowing about this research? I don't know, but it doesn't look good. But I'll leave you with this. This is a video from, well, at least it was published on February 4th, 2017, right after Trump went into office. I'm not going to play the whole 54 minutes, but listen to this and judge this for yourself.
Which really, I think, set the stage for so many of the things that we are going to be dealing with over the coming years. Given, as you heard from the introduction, that I have been around for a while and have had the opportunity and the privilege and the pleasure of serving in 5 administrations, I thought I would bring that perspective to the topic today, is the issue of pandemic preparedness. And if there's one message that I want to leave with you today, based on my experience, and you'll see that in a moment, is that there is no question that there will be a challenge, the coming administration, in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak. And I hope by the end of my relatively short presentation, you'll understand why history, the history of the last 32 years that I've been the director of NIAID, will tell the next administration that there's no doubt in anyone's mind that they will be faced with the challenges that their predecessors were faced with.
A surprise outbreak. A surprise pandemic where basically a bioweapons lab in Wuhan, China was experimenting with coronaviruses in 2015. When in October of 2014, there was supposed to be a pause on gain-of-function research involving SARS viruses. Research it and decide for yourself.